Hey guys, welcome back to Tractor Tip Tuesday. Today we're going to talk a little bit about maintenance on our tractors, and specifically we're going to go over what to do when you get that brand new tractor, whether it's new to you or brand new off the showroom floor. Let's discuss what needs to happen with it. Now I apologize, it's a little bit windy. I got cows right behind the camera, so you might hear a little bit of noise from them. But let's go ahead and dive into this. When you buy a tractor brand new, whether that's brand new from the dealer or brand new, guys, I hope that wind is not blocking this mic. Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. When you buy a tractor brand new, whether it's brand new to you or brand new from the dealer, dealers, even good dealers, do not catch everything as they go through and put these things together, because remember, they get shipped to them kind of in pieces, right? The ROPs are going to be off, the front end loader is probably not going to be attached. That's all going to be put on when they get them at the factory or at the dealership, and their maintenance crews are going to put them on. So even if they have good technicians, good people miss stuff every once in a while, so you never know what you're gonna have lacking there. So we want to go ahead and go through everything and really check everything real well before we get started. So there's going to be some little bit of maintenance that we need to do to our tractors once we get them, and then specifically if it's a used tractor, then you don't know what that person has done. Hopefully you check this out. If you haven't seen my video on that, on how to inspect the used tractor, check that one out. But if we as we're going through it, we definitely want to make sure that these are done. Now these are good things to do annually anyways, or even some of them you have to do a lot more often than that. So it's not a huge issue to go through and do this, but let's go ahead and start. Alright, so the first thing that we need is some can of lubricant, and most times we use WD-40. In this case I had just a little bit left of this rim oil from cleaning firearms, and I wanted to use this can up. So generally this is not what I use for a lubricant for this. It's not a great lubricant on this aspect of it, but works in this case. Now what we're going to do is we want to come in here in this in the quick attach on the John Deere quick attach or your skid steer quick attach. You have a number of pins up here. You have moving brackets right here. You're going to have grease spots to hit as well. And so what we want to do is we want to come in here, and before we even get all that grease stuff done, we're going to go ahead and take some of this oil. We're going to spray it all down in there. Get it all in these sections to where we've got pins and stuff going in and out, and we'll get all that coated. I'm not so worried about the grease settings or the grease areas, because we're going to hit that with the grease gun here in just a minute. But we're going to go ahead and go around on both sides of the tractors, and we just want to get all those joints in there that don't have grease zerks on them, like most of them here, but like this one, there's obviously no grease zert up there. So we go ahead and get in there and get everything protected with the oil, as well as just lubricated so that the quick attach works better and things go on easier. Next we'll come in with our grease gun. We'll go ahead and put our grease gun right on top of that grease zert there. Get on it, and then we'll go ahead and give it a couple pumps. This one's already been greased, so it doesn't need much. Get a couple pumps, and we see some grease coming out. We know we're good to go. Now we'll work that grease gun all the way around to every zert here on the front end loader and on the tractor. We'll go ahead and hit everything here all at once and make sure that we've got everything good to go. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to go through our little cotter pins, and we want to have a nice box, guys. These are real handy, they're real cheap, a box of cotter pins. We want to make sure and walk our tractor and make sure all these little pins you see down here, see this little pin here, and we want to make sure that those cotter pins are all in place. If any of them aren't, as we go around, we want to make sure and replace those cotter pins. Specifically here in areas like these pins, the pins that hold on the front end loader, that hold the bolts going through, those generally have a cotter pin on the back side, and we want to make sure that that pin is actually in place. If not, we'll go ahead and replace it now. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to come over here to our engine compartment. We want to check everything out in here. We want to make sure that all our fluids are topped off, that our air filter is nice and clean, that somebody didn't put a used air filter in there, or that the new owner, or that if it was a used tractor, that the previous owners have replaced that out. And then what we're going to do, we'll come over here to our battery box. Let's see if we can get zoomed in a little bit over here. So on this tractor, you obviously have to take down the grill guard, but we would take down this grill guard, and right behind here is our battery box. Now we want to come into that battery box with a little bit of dielectric grease, and we're going to take those battery connectors off of there and put dielectric grease all around them. But obviously prior to that, we'll clean them up with a little battery brush and make sure that all those connectors are good to go. I'm not showing that in this video because I didn't have a battery brush on me at this time, So I need to go pick up a new one, and then we'll show you how to do that in another video. Coming back to the engine block, we'll check our hoses, make sure that all our hoses, we don't have any excessive cracking in them, no loose joints that need to be tightened up. If we need to tighten up a hose clamp or two, we can go ahead and do that now. Like I said, we've looked at our air filter. Check out our serpentine belt down here. This serpentine belt is getting pretty worn. Actually, it's about time for that to be replaced. I'm glad I came and checked this. So that one's getting some cracking in it. That's time for that one to go. So we'll get a new one here ordered today. Okay, next thing we want to do is come around with a torque wrench, specifically on our lug nuts over here. We want to make sure and check in our owner's manual and get the proper torque, and come back and retorque all of these bolts. But we also have a number of bolts. See right over there, you can see on our loader arm, where our loader connects to the tractor. We have more bolts there, and those ones also need to be retorqued periodically. And so we're going to go ahead and check all of those, as well as the bolts that hold the ROPS onto the tractor. Those are a bolt-on attachment, and so we want to make sure that we go ahead and get those as well. The torque on those is also at the specifications from the factory owner's manual. Next, we're going to come back to our 3-point hitch, and we're going to go ahead and lubricate up everything back here that connects this 3-point hitch. Before we do that, we're going to put the tractor on level ground. We want to make sure and check the hydraulic fluid back here. You see that we got the filler valve back here, or the filler screen back here, the viewing glass. Thank you. I couldn't think of the name of it. Some models have a dipstick. However yours is set up, you want to come back here and check your hydraulic level and make sure that everything is at what it's supposed to be at. Oftentimes dealers will fill it, or people may fill it and then forget that when they change the filter, that takes a little bit out of there. Or if they've got a small drip or a small leak, they may lose some over time, and so you might end up finding yourself a little bit low. Moving on to the 3-point hitch, we're going to go ahead and lubricate all these different connectors in here. Part of that's to protect them, and then part of that is because we just want to make sure that they're actually functioning correctly when we need to use them, and that they're not super hard to get off. So we'll come back over here with our lubricant, and we're going to get every one of these joints in here, because remember, these ones don't have your grease zerks on them. So we're going to go ahead and get all those lubricated up. Lastly, we'll come to our PTO shaft. We're going to get that lubricated as well, because that has always got a lot of friction on it when we're using it. So we'll go ahead and keep that nice layer of oil on there protecting that. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to protect all these joints in here, get a little bit of lubrication on them, make sure that when we actually want to go to spin these things on there, that they actually work. You can see we had 2 more grease zerks back here that we need to get. But we want to make sure that all these things are actually moving up and down as they're supposed to when we're trying to do our work on the tractor. Trying to load or put on something on a 3-point hitch can be kind of a bear sometimes. It's specifically really bad when you have a lot of rust, dirt, or corrosion in there, and we want to make sure we take that out of the equation. This thing is allowed to slide freely and clear of any obstruction on that regard. There's always going to be enough coming from the implement itself. Next, we'll go ahead and come check out our seat, our operator seat. You can see on this one, we actually had the seat come loose the other day and rip out, so we have to get down there and re-glue that one on there. But we'll go ahead and pull this forward, and we can see all the different springs and stuff down there that actually control the tension of the seat. We want to go ahead and spray those and lubricate all that down there as well, and get all that cleaned up to where when we go to rotate the seat adjustment on here, that it will actually work and that it'll actually rotate the adjustment. We want to make sure and check our oil. Pull our dipstick out, check it to the fill line, make sure that we are at the fill line, and make sure our oil looks relatively clean. This is fairly new oil, so it doesn't have a ton of hours on it. You can still see it's got a little bit of that golden hue there, but we're just starting to get a little bit of blackness with it. This oil probably has about 30 hours on it, so when I say just been changed, realize we drive our tractors a lot, so 30 hours does not take as long as a couple weekends of work with the tractor. Go ahead and pull off our side panels here, and we're going to make sure that when they actually change those oil filters, that they put on a new filter. We can see down there the hours are written on the filter, and so we don't need to check any further than that. We know that for this maintenance task that it did have a new filter put on there. Finally, we're going to come down here to our differential, and we're going to go ahead and pull our differential plug out of here and make sure that we have enough fluid in our differential. We can check our dipstick right there. We're at the fill line, so we're good on our differential. We do need to probably swap this fluid out, but that's something for another video. Finally, we're going to look, our data plate is right here. We want to go ahead and record our John Deere serial number or the serial number for whatever tractor you have. And this way that when we have issues come up and we need parts and whatnot, it's easy for us to look that up. So easiest thing to do is just take your phone or snap a picture and save it under your favorites. And you can do that for all your tractors and you have it right there for you. We do that with all of our equipment, so we always have the serial numbers on us. We want to go ahead and come in here with the tire gauge, go ahead and check our tire pressure. Now you have your tire pressures that are recommended on the actual tire itself, so this one is 30 psi for the max inflation. Some people recommend rear tires being inflated less, so 12 to 15. Personally, we do ours at the max inflation. That seems to work really well with these tires, but there are other avenues out there, so don't feel like you have to do it to that max inflation. That's just what we do and what we have found to be the best option. Now, we're going to come around, we want to check all the air pressure in them. If you have too low of air pressure and you're doing any significant amount of work with this, it's very easy to slip one of these tires off the rim. We've done it several times. It's actually how we lost the fill in this tire and why we need to have this tire refilled, because it's very easy to slip those tires off. So really anytime we're going to put a long day on this, we check the tire pressure before we start the day. Guys, I really appreciate y'all watching. Make sure and like the channel if you haven't already, or subscribe to the channel, like the video if you haven't already done so. Check us out on Facebook. Amanda Lynn's fixing to get our Instagram page going right now, because we're getting some good traction here. We'll see y'all next week on Tractor Tip Tuesday.